What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Ridge, back to bring you some NFL props for Thursday night football in Week 8. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Baltimore Ravens, in what should hopefully be a pretty good game. You know, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Mike Evans, maybe a little hobbled, Chris Godwin, Gus Edwards back and running all over the place. I'm excited for it. Should be a pretty good game. Now let's get into the props that we like for today. We have a 2-pick power play with a couple flex options that you should consider heading into this game. We're starting right off the bat with the GOAT, or maybe not so much this year, Tom Brady, over 38.5 pass attempts. Tom Brady hasn't thrown for less than 40 passes in his last 5 games. The Bucs are dead last in rushing yards per game. QBs are averaging about 37 pass attempts per game against the Ravens. That's down a little bit since week 3 to about 32 per game, but Brady is still super elite. Second highest pass attempts per game in the NFL, only behind Justin Herbert at 42.29. Take more on Tom Brady, 38.5 pass attempts. Again, I just think they're going to pass a ton. They're going to abandon the run because Leonard Fournette is not getting it done. That offensive line is not getting it done. They will put it on Brady's shoulders to win this game, in my opinion. And heaven forbid the Ravens do get up, which they have got up actually in quite a few games just to kind of fall apart and lose some of them. They have got up on some teams, and so that will force Brady to have to try and come back once again, like he did last week at Carolina, like he had to do against Pittsburgh. So another reason to like the more for Tom Brady on his pass attempts. Now the second one we like is Gus Edwards, 45.5 rushing yards. We didn't know what to expect from Gus Edwards. He came back last week and ran the ball 16 times and scored 2 touchdowns. He had 65 yards. So another reason to really like Gus Edwards is just the fact that Mark Andrews is hobbled and Rashad Bateman is hobbled and Lamar kind of struggling in the passing game a little bit. They're just going to force them to run the ball even more. Now, last week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did allow a ton of yards on the ground. Now, I don't want to stress this too much because that was a zone scheme that Carolina runs, and more so for the Baltimore Ravens, it's a gap scheme. So slightly different from a rushing perspective. That data you can go check out over on the 33rd team. I got that from Jordan Vanek's article. He has a great job doing DFS stuff and other betting content. And so I was reading his article, and he's telling me, you know, Carolina runs more of a zone scheme, so slightly different than the gap scheme that Baltimore runs. So not a complete comparison, but at the end of the day, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not the best against the run so far this season, and they've been about middle of the pack. You know, we expect them to be top 5, potentially even top 3 in the NFL, and they just haven't been that. They have some fast linebackers, but Gus is super talented. They still have to defend Lamar Jackson, and with that struggling passing game, I think we see a lot of rushing attempts from Gus Edwards and from Lamar Jackson in this matchup. We'll see how it shakes out, but I just believe at the end of the day, Gus is going to get all the volume. We saw it last week, so I'm willing to trust him again this week. I also looked at the fantasy score over 9 just because I believe that there's a pretty good shot he gets in the end zone. And so for me, Gus Edwards over 45.5 rushing yards is the bet. Pair that with Tom Brady, 38.5 pass attempts. That's our power play of the day. Now, other ones to consider, depending on when you watch this, Rachaad White over 12.5 receiving yards. That one is moving on the books already, 15.5 all the way up to 17.5 potentially. The big thing is that Rachaad White, when he gets the ball, he can be pretty effective. He's only running about 11 routes per game. His over-under for receptions is usually right around 2.5. So he's not getting a ton of opportunities. The Ravens do allow a decent amount through the air to opposing running backs. We know that some of that work will go to Leonard Fournette as well. And if we're taking the over on Brady's pass attempts, it never hurts to take a look at their running backs because he does like to dump it down to the running backs especially. And the other guy we're looking at is Chris Godwin's targets. They're not out right now. They were 7.5 on the books last week. He got 13 targets. The receptions are at 6.5 this week, so the targets may be a little bit higher. 9.5, it's about where we like it. Anything higher than that, we have to kind of just be like, maybe we'll pass on it. But we did want to mention that because Chris Godwin's targets have been money. He's been getting a ton of targets, and in this one, the Baltimore Ravens do primarily play zone, and that's good for Chris Godwin because Chris Godwin is their zone beater. He has the highest target percentage versus zone coverage on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We know that Russell Gage will not be active in this one, so it's Mike Evans, Cade Otton, and Chris Godwin manning the receiving core, along with obviously Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette out of the backfield. So those are the kind of the plays we're looking at. Brady over his pass attempts is a core play, along with Gus Edwards over 45.5 rushing yards. And then we're also looking at Rachaad White, 12.5 receiving yards. If you see it, that number is the only reason why I like it. Bit of value compared to the sports books. And then as well on top of that, Chris Godwin's targets anywhere, I think at 9.5 or lower. You're in really good shape. We would take that one because we think he's going to go over in this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to drop me a like and subscribe for future content. Good luck tonight, and if you tail, give them hell, and if we fail, do not bail. We'll be back with more picks for college football and for the NFL slate, and don't forget to check out our NBA videos that drop each and every day. We'll see you guys with the next one. I'm out. Peace.